In honor of Black History Month, I've decided to forego the episode of Kung Fail I would have done this week, and instead do a very special episode of Manthropology. Hello, I'm Larson Halleck, and yeah, the ancient Egyptians were not black. Sorry to dethrone the Kangs, but all the evidence suggests otherwise. Now, before everybody gets mad at me, I am aware that there were black pharaohs in the sense that there was a period when Nubians conquered Egypt and ruled as pharaohs. But there's the lie. The black pharaohs were different from the default pharaohs, if you will. Let's observe the evidence, shall we? I should really just end the video here, shouldn't I? This is a tomb fresco in which we see the technique of hierarchical scale. The most important guy is the biggest. And it's this olive-skinned charioteer here. So we can surmise that this guy, who we're supposed to be paying attention to, is supposed to be Egyptian. Obviously, the Egyptians wouldn't portray some other ethnic group as the most important. People are ethnocentric. Or at least they are when they're not culturally engineered to be ethno-masochistic. And on the right side, we can see some distinctly different colored people that are quite obviously being defeated by the Egyptians on the left side. Dare I say that the people on the right are black people? And here's another Egyptian painting in which you can clearly see lighter-skinned people having their penises washed by dark-skinned people. The mild curiosity about having a personal penis washer aside, I again don't think it's likely that the Egyptians would be depicting themselves washing some other people's dicks. And even in pictures where there's only Egyptian people depicted, we can see that they are again depicting themselves as these sorts of ruddy, light brown figures in marked contrast to the darker, sub-Saharan neighbors. Let's see what a couple thousand years of artistic innovation can show us. The Fayum portraits of Egypt under Roman occupation show some pretty Arab-looking people. Yeah. For various political reasons, there have been a shitload of controversies over the racial identity of the ancient Egyptians, even though primary sources should make this answer pretty obvious. Oh, and we'll get to the reasons why the controversy exists in a little while. Let's see what the genetic evidence says. Oh, would you look at that. Modern Egyptians have non-recombining Y chromosomal and or mitochondrial DNA that is much closer related to other Levantine or Middle Eastern / North African populations than any sub-Saharan populations. Furthermore, evidence also suggests that karyotyping of royal mummies, at the very least, shows the greatest genetic similarity to the modern Egyptian, who are, again, Semitic and Levantine in race. In fact, another study shows that the modern Egyptian has about 8% more sub-Saharan, i.e. black ancestry than his ancient forebears. My stars, it's like there's some sort of desert in between Egypt and sub-Saharan Africa that would keep intermarriage to a minimum. Oh, and by the way, Ramses II has been confirmed to be a ginger. On this note, the various facial reconstructions of pharaohs show that they are again quite similar looking to the modern man of Southwest Asia. What do those doctors of anthropology and forensics know about anything, am I right? So I think in the few minutes I've been talking, I've provided enough evidence that the Egyptians were not in fact what the casual observer would refer to as black. Certainly not white either, but not black. It's almost as if there's a vast amount of genetic and phenotypic diversity within the African continent. So now we must ask, why? Why do our dusky brethren fight so vociferously over ancient Egypt's alleged blackness? Could it be that they want to, dare I say, appropriate the greatness of this ancient civilization to their own history and thus glean some greatness onto them? Well, undoubtedly that is the case, but then we need to ask why that. Unlike some of my more, bull-headed fellow travelers, I am not of the opinion that Egypt is the only place in Africa that has accomplished something. As an anthropologist, I'm well versed in the many rich and fascinating cultures of Western Africa, where the majority of African Americans and Afro-Caribbeans come from. And since I advocate pride and dignity in my own race, I would certainly not tell you to do otherwise. So I say, don't appropriate Egypt, be proud of your own people and your own culture, both modern and ancestral. At the very least, don't give the autistic right reasons to cluck and make jokes about Afrocentrism. I'm Larson Halleck, and I appreciate humanity in all its splendor. Happy Black History Month. What do those doctors of anthropology and forensics know about anything, am I right?
That's right! That's right! That's right! That's right! That's right! That's right!